Good morning, friends. Today we are going to start with the next point of recombinant DNA technology, that is expression of foreign DNA in transformed bacteria. In this point, we are going to see how we are going to insert the gene of our interest in the bacteria by using transformation methods. The next slide, if you can see here, the transformation, we should know about the transformation. Transformation is a genetic alteration of a cell resulting from the introduction, uptake, and expression of foreign genetic material in molecular biology. Now, this can be done to bacteria, fungi, plants, animals, and cells. We should know about the history of transformation. In 1928, Frederick Griffith transformed non pathogenic pneumococcus bacteria into a virulent variety by mixing them with heat killed pathogenic bacteria. Now, the principle was demonstrated in 1944, a long way after 1928, by Oswald Avery, Colin MacLeod, and Maclean McCarthy, who showed gene transfer in Streptococcus pneumoniae, which was a pure DNA. Then Avery, MacLeod, and McCarthy they took the uptake and the incorporation of DNA by bacterial transformation. Now, transformation mechanisms in that bacterial transformation, it refers to a genetic change brought about by picking up naked strands of DNA and expressing it. In this transformation concept, competence is very important. The recipient DNA, bacteria should develop competence for uptaking the DNA inside the cell. So, two different forms of competence should be distinguished here, natural and artificial. There are two types of competences. Now, this natural competence is found in very few bacteria, around 1% of the species or the bacteria on this earth. They are having the natural competence. They are naturally capable to take up the DNA inside the cell. So, each species carry the sets of genes which specify the machinery for bringing the DNA across the cell's membrane or membranes. Now, the evolutionary function of these genes is controversial because many concepts are under the mystery only regarding transformation. Now, many textbooks and researchers they have assumed that cells take up the DNA to acquire new versions of genes. A simpler explanation that fits most of the observations is that cells take up the DNA mainly as a source of nucleotides, which can be used directly or broken down and used for other purposes. It is not a fact that only transformation is carried out or the cell in the natural competence the cells take up the DNA only for incorporating it into the chromosomal DNA. They take up the DNA to degrade it also and derive the nitrogen bases and use it for their synthesis. Okay, so this is the natural competence. Now, the artificial competence is not encoded in the cell genes, it is induced in the laboratory procedures in which cells are passively made permeable to DNA using the conditions that do not normally occur in nature. In nature, they don't occur most of the times, but in laboratory, we can induce the bacteria recipient to take up the plasmid or the DNA of our interest by making the pore size of the cell membranes bigger by chemical methods are there and various other methods, electroporation and all those things. We are going to study it in the further slides. Artificially competent cells of standard bacterial strains they may also be purchased and they are frozen and they are ready to use. Most common strain of E. coli which is used for transformation is E. coli DH5 alpha. Okay, so remember this strain of E. coli which is important in the MCQ point of views. Now, the prokaryotic transformation, we should know what first the DNA is most easily taken up if it is in the plasmid form as opposed to linear form. Linear form DNA is most less probability is there for transformation. So plasmid circularized DNA or supercoiled DNA is having most higher transformation efficiency rather than the linear forms of DNA. Now, generally, the plasmid will have an antibiotic resistance marker, that is the antibiotic resistance gene. Most of the times, that antibiotic resistance, the names of the antibiotics which are used regarding the genes are tetracycline, then kanamycin, and or ampicillin. These are the three antibiotic resistant genes which are ligated with the plasmid vector or the DNA, so that the cells can take up that DNA and develop antibiotic resistance, and then we can confirm it by growing that bacterial cell which are transformed in the media which contains any of these three antibiotics. Okay, so these cells, the competence is developed by to take up the DNA inside of the cell. Although some bacteria are naturally competent, most have to be made competent in the laboratory. This is known as artificial competence. Now we can get the cells already competent, ordered from a company or the lab, or and we can make these cells competent in the lab. Now the two common ways to achieve prokaryotic cell competence are electroporation, okay, which works also in the prokaryotes and in the eukaryotes, and second is using calcium chloride treatment. Now in the artificial competence, temperature plays a very important role. Chilling test, we have to chill the cells in presence of divalent cations such as calcium. That's why the calcium chloride is used, which prepares the cell walls to become permeable to the plasmid DNA. Now the cells are incubated with the DNA and then briefly heat shocked. The heat shock treatment is not so high, 100 degrees Celsius. It is very low, that is 42. These cells are given the shock of 42 degrees Celsius for very few seconds, that is 30 to 120 seconds, which causes the DNA to enter into the cell. Now this method works well for the circular plasmid DNAs but not for the linear molecules such as fragments of chromosomal DNA. Okay, now an excellent preparation of competent cells will give 10 raised to 8 colonies per microgram of plasmid, and the poor preparation will give about 10 raised to 4 microgram or less of the plasmid. So good non-commercial preparation should give up to 10 raised to 5 to 10 raised to 6 transformants per microgram of the plasmid. Now the CaCl2 method is described over here in this slide. This method also alters the permeability of the cell membrane. Calcium interacts with the negatively charged phospholipid which heads the plasma membrane, creating an electrostatically neutral situation. Lowering the temperature stabilizes the membrane, which makes the negatively charged phosphates easier to shield. Then a heat shock creates a temperature imbalance and thus a current which helps get the DNA into the cell. Now the plasmid again is very important here. The plasmid DNA contains sequences allowing it to be replicated in the cell independently of the chromosome. That's why it is not integrated with the chromosomal DNA. The plasmid used in experiments will usually also contain an antibiotic resistance gene, which I already mentioned earlier, which is placed in a bacterial strain that has no antibiotic resistance. Therefore, only the transformed bacteria will grow on the media containing the antibiotic. Now, electroporation is another way in the mechanism of transformation, which is induced more in an easier way as compared to calcium chloride treatment and other treatments, where we have to make the holes in the cells by brief shocking them with an electric field. Here in the previous thing, in the calcium chloride treatment, we have given the shock of heat at 42 degrees Celsius for 30 to 120 seconds. But here in electroporation, we have to give the electric shock to the bacterial cells. Then the shock is very low as compared to the human beings, that is very low shock of electric field. The current is 100 to 200 volts per centimeter is used. Now the plasmid DNA can enter into the cell through these holes, and natural membrane repair mechanisms will close these holes afterwards after the electric current is over. Now the general idea behind electroporation is that by applying a short electrical pulse to the cells, we can alter the membrane conductivity and permeability. Now it is more effective than the CaCl2 method. Now the polar molecules don't normally cross the cell's membrane easily because it is inside the inside the membrane is hydrophobic in nature. But electroporation makes pores in the membrane that are hydrophilic in nature. Okay, you know the I hope you know the difference between the hydrophobic and hydrophilic. Hydrophobic means it does not allow the water to enter inside, and hydrophilic means it allows the water to or interact with the water, okay, which enables the DNA to pass through inside. Now DNA is negatively charged molecule due to the phosphate group in the backbone. So in the figure you can see the normal bacterial membrane and the electroporated uh, hydrophilic pore, which is bigger in size as compared to the normal bacterial membrane. So the plasmid can easily enter into the bacterial cell and it can express it in the cell after during the replication. Now to make the cells electrocompetent, we have to inoculate a colony into 50 ml no salt lurea Bertini medium and grow at 37 degrees Celsius overnight. After that, we have to add 25 ml of culture medium into the 1 liter of lurea Bertini medium. Then we have to grow the cells at 37 degrees Celsius in a shaking incubator. After that, we have to grow the cells to up to the OD optical density of zero point 0.6 to 0.7. Now this represents the bacteria's log phase growth. Why log phase is used? Because the cells in this phase are growing rapidly and are healthy and uniform, and that's why it is used. We have to pour 250 ml into the tube and spin or centrifuge at 4 degrees Celsius at cooling centrifuge equipment, and then we have to remove the supernatant and we have to resuspend the cells in deionized water. Okay, so we have to repeat the centrifugation again and again to remove the supernatant several times and remove the impurities several times. Then we have to resuspend all these bacterial cells in 10% glycerol and keep in the freezer until it is further used. Okay, then we have to keep the cells cold always in ice. We have to prepare the DNA into the cells, dilute it because we don't need a very high DNA concentration. We have to pipette 100 microliter of cells and 1 microliter of DNA into the polypropylene or polystyrene cuvette, okay, or it is made up of quartz cuvette. After making the settings on the electroporator are correct, where the cuvette is added placed in the machine and we have to press the button. Then your setting should maximize the number of transformed bacteria while also keeping as many as alive as possible, because electroporation may also kill the cells, so we should not exceed the current. Now within 30 seconds of electroporation, pipette out a half ml of recovery medium, SOC medium, it is called as SOC medium, which contains glucose, amino acids and tryptone and some yeast extract. Then we have to mix it properly. Then we have to the cells are allowed to recover at 37 degrees Celsius in a shaking incubator for about an hour. Okay, now shocking them stresses them out, that's why we have to plate these cells and let them grow. Now those cells which grow, we have to use it for the further experiments. So liposuction is also one of the method. It is a technique which is used to inject the genetic material into the cell by means of liposomes, which are vesicles that are easily merged into the cell membrane since they are both made up of phospholipid bilayer. Okay, liposuction method. Now the vesicle fuses with the cell membrane, and the contents of the vesicle and the cells are combined. Now the next method is transfection, which is most of the times used for the eukaryotic cells such as plant cells and animal cells. This typically involves opening the transient pores or holes in the cell plasma membrane to allow the uptake of the material. Okay. These are the other biochemical methods such as liposuction, dendrimers. Liposuction encompasses the uses of cationic liposomes that form a complex with the DNA. DNA is not encapsulated within the liposomes but bound to the bound outside. Then dendrimers are highly branched molecules that form a complex with the DNA. So these are the other biochemical methods which are used for incorporating the foreign DNA or the expressing the foreign DNA into the transformed bacteria. Once the DNA is formed, a complex with these molecules, endocytosis allows the complex to enter into the cell. Now, calculating the transformation efficiency. Transformation efficiency is calculated in transformants per microgram. It is calculated as follows: the number of colonies on plate divided by nanogram of DNA plated into 1000 nanogram divided by microgram. So per microgram. Now the things that affect the transformation efficiency: actual DNA concentration, then forms of the DNA, whether the DNA is linear or single stranded. DNA transforms less than 1% as efficiently as supercoiled DNA. Now the purity of DNA can be contaminated with salts. Also ligase can interfere with the transformation. You can heat inactivate the ligase before transformation. You can also column purify your DNA. Now freezing and thawing of the cells that are refrozen will lose activity, typically at least 2-fold times. Next is the micro injection method. This is a single cell at a time. It is micro injected. It requires major precision, time and labor. It is very laborious task. The DNA is inserted directly into the nucleus, but it is found in not prokaryotic cells but in eukaryotic cells. For that we have to prepare the cell, plate cells on the glass cover slip. For a good injection, 60 to 80% of the cell confluence at the day of injection is required. The day of the experiment, transfer each cover slip in a 6 centimeter diameter plate with 5 ml of medium plate. DNA preparation: dilute the DNA with double distilled water to a final concentration of 20 to 150 nanograms per microliter, and centrifuge it for 15 minutes at 13,000 revolutions per minute, rotations per minute, and transfer the supernatant in the new clean Eppendorf tube. Then you can mix the different DNA, but the final concentration has to be 150 nanogram per microliter totally. Then alternative, the IgGs can be mixed to the DNA in order to use them as micro injection efficiency marker. Then inject the sample into the target nuclei. Okay, so this is the way which is used most of the times, that it is used to detect the transformant colonies, whether it is expressed or not. So generally it is a good practice to do a controlled transformation with water, just to aid any future necessary troubleshooting. If you get colonies on the control plate, something definitely has went wrong with your transformation, and the DNA has not been expressed, so that you can see over here. Because in the question mark which shows in this control plate is that the test plate shows many colonies and the control plate should not show a single colony. So because it contains it does not contain any antibiotic, okay, even though the bacteria are growing. So this is the method which is used to detect the bacterial colonies. Okay, thank you very much. And if you have any doubts, you can WhatsApp me personally. And if you like this lecture, you can hit the like button and press the bell icon, subscribe the channel. Thank you very much.